The Aussie gold space has already seen a lot of consolidation over the last couple of years. There's certainly a lot of talk around, further potential moves. Obviously, Gold Road sitting with that large equity stake in De Grey. If they choose to sell into this transaction, then we'll be sitting on a large pile of cash. There's potentially operational synergies between some of the other players. Genesis and Volt are two others in Western Australia that have been talked about as potential mergers. Gold Road themselves with other companies like Regis have been previously reported in the press as potentially looking at getting together. So I do think we'll see more. Further to that too, I think with Northern Star, if they're successful in completing this deal, then may well look at rationalising their own portfolio and selling some of the smaller assets, which can creates further opportunities for M&A for some of the smaller players.
Broadening it out into the sort of wider Australian mining space, we've seen a lot of activity and we've spoken to a number of guests in recent weeks about some of this M&A. Anything other than gold specifically in this consolidation we're seeing in this space do you find particularly interesting?
Yeah, unfortunately, in the Australian market, a lot of the other commodities have been hollowed out a fair bit. In base metals, there's only a couple of players left really of any size. I mean, there's certainly scope for a lot of smaller deals, sort of sub $200 million transactions to occur on an M&A basis. But the multi-billion-dollar deals, there's only really a couple of companies around that could do that. The lithium sector's obviously come into a fair bit of issues itself, and we don't really have that sort of broad market of iron ore producers outside of the majors, in the Aussie market as well. There's again a few really smaller players, but none of the sort of mid-tier players. So it's only really in coal, I guess. We still have a couple of decent-sized listed companies, and we've seen plenty of M&A activity in that front, largely driven by the majors selling assets. And the question is, if they're going to continue to sell assets, there'll be more action within that coal space going forward too.